Don't let the old man in. Get that fucking trash out of your life. You have legacies to build. We grew that business from 3.4 million to 17.1. Horsepower, not horse shit. You want to be the parent that's an ally. They don't need another fucking friend. Not everybody's cup of whiskey. Toughest advice for the toughest businessmen. Be relentless. The great Tom Burns, my longtime friend and world builder, Mastermind member, was on the proverbial hot seat a few days ago at our world building mastermind. It was Tom's turn to tell us about his personal life, his professional life, his different companies, his goals, his dreams, his personal mission. And then his brothers in our mastermind help any questions, any challenges that Tom is facing. It's a powerful, powerful experience. If you've never been part of a mastermind hot seat, you present for 45 minutes. It's a PowerPoint presentation. You talk about your story, your family, your marriage, your children, your grandchildren, your marketing, your community service. You talk about your wins, your losses, your challenges, your defeats, your struggles, your championships. One of the most powerful personal experiences you can ever have. I've been on both sides of the table as the facilitator of masterminds now for over a decade, and I've also been a participant in some of the most powerful and significant masterminds in business. Hot seats are an incredibly life-altering experience. So last week, my friend Tom Burns, he is a successful jewelry store owner, owns a couple of locations. His family has owned Burns Jewelers for coming up on nearly a century, almost 100 years. They'll be celebrating 100 years in a couple more years. Tom's grandfather started Burns Jewelers, and his father ran it, and Tom has taken that company to an all new level of marketing, profitability, impact in the community. And it was interesting during his hot seat. Tom said something at the beginning that I had never heard before that was a writer downer. I had never heard this said before, but it really hit home with me and all of his brothers on the call. And Tom said one of his life creeds, one of his life passages, quotes, messages, whatever you want to call them, that he tells himself or says to himself consistently to keep himself on the right track. One of the things that he says is, always keep the old man out. Always keep the old man out. And I had never heard this quote before, and I thought this was such a powerful saying, especially knowing Tom personally. Tom is in his early 60s, and he's one of these guys that you would have no idea what his biological age is. You just wouldn't. I mean, he is a young man at heart. He's extremely high energy. He's got a giver, not taker mentality. He's the most positive. He's the highest energy guy in any room. Always has a big smile on his face, always making people laugh, always making people feel better about themselves. Just one of those individuals that fills up a room when he walks in it. And it's impossible. He's always been incredibly young at heart. He's never lost his curiosity. He's never lost his lust and love for life. He's never lost his passion, his obsession with business, with family, with serving other people. He literally seems to get younger by the day. He reminds me of my father, who's 89 years young in that way. Tom he reported to us that in his early 60s, he's in the best physical and mental shape of his life, of his entire life. He decided a handful of years ago to get serious about his physical fitness and his mental health. And he is in the best physical and mental health of his life in his 60s. You know, he's heading towards what normies would call retirement age. Somebody working in a 9-to-5 prison would say, oh, well, I only got a couple more years. I got 2 years, 3 months, and 11 days left. You know, wishing your life away. Tom is the exact opposite. He's one of these guys who he's going to work until he dies, because he has what he calls seamless living. And he terms seamless living is what we teach here, where you build a life that you don't need to ever vacation from. You build a badass world that you never need to escape from. And that's what Tom has done better than anybody that I know, seamless living. His work is his life, and his life is his work. He's happy. He's as happy at work as he is sitting out on the boat at the lake. He's as happy, you know, he's got this massive connection to the community through his jewelry stores where he's serving other people. So he's one of these individuals who's figured it out and understands that no service, no significance. And he's literally building his legacy by serving other people. And he showed us all the charities that he's involved with, and you know, the children that he's sponsored through World Vision, and what he does at the grassroots level, sponsoring youth sports and arts and theater and non-profits and service clubs. It's just endless. He's living a life of significance through serving other people in his community. And it's good for business, it's good for his heart and soul, it's good for his mental health, it's good for everything. A rising tide lifts all boats. So, just an amazing presentation to our group. But what stuck out in my mind was that quote, "Never let the old man in." And Tom credited one of his golf friends was saying that one time, a guy who was in his 70s, and he acted and would like he was in his 50s. And again, that reminds me of my father. These men have decided that age is just a number. Tom's one of these guys. He's decided that age is a number. And my father's exactly the same way. And what Tom was talking about in the presentation is he said, you know, in his jewelry store, he deals with, you know, hundreds and hundreds of people every day. He's in the trenches, he's at the counter, he's selling diamonds, he's selling Rolexes, he's selling Pandora jewelry, he's communicating with people. Good morning. He's communicating with people every single day. And it's interesting because he says all the time, never ever does it stop, that people aren't coming in, especially men. And what they talk about is they're whining and they're complaining and they're bitching and they're chewing. Oh, you know, my back hurts. Oh, my neck hurts. Oh, my knees are gone. I'm waiting on surgery for my hips. I'm waiting on surgery for my knee. Oh, I've got the headache. Just one complaint after another. One complaint after another. And these are people, you know, he was laughing. He says they're just out of high school and their life is over. They're just out of high school and they've lost hope. Oh, you know, high school were the best days of my life and now I'm an old man and all. Just a bunch of horse shit. Mental horse shit, right? Not willing to put in the work, not willing to pay the price over in your 20s and 30s to get the job done to build the life of their dreams. Whiners, complainers, and excuse makers. You know, what is that? The glory days of high school. I used to play on the high school football team. Nobody wants to listen to that shit. The only people who want to listen to that stuff are other losers. So Tom listens to it all day from people in their 30s, their 40s, even in their 50s. You know, how are things? Well, getting by. You know, that's quite a way to speak to yourself when somebody asks you how you're doing. Well, I'm getting by, or no sense complaining, nobody would listen, or living the dream, being very sarcastic. And if that's the way you answer a question of how you are, I mean, the language matters, right? One thing I noticed with Tom that I noticed with my dad, who's, you know, in his 90th year, my dad is how they talk to themselves. They don't let the old man in with their vocabulary. So one of the secrets that I've noticed that most people wouldn't is how these two men talk to themselves. So your brain is a 24-hour movie. It never shuts off to the day you die. So you have your subconscious when you're sleeping, you have your conscious for 16 hours when you're awake, but the movie never shuts off. And you give it instructions by how you talk to yourself, what you think about, but mostly what you talk about. So if somebody asks you how you're doing today and you answer with something like, oh, fine. Well, fine what? Like sandpaper? Fine like sandpaper, my daughter Emery says. Or somebody asks you how you're doing, you say, oh, getting by. You know, if that's the language you're using with yourself, or somebody asks you, how are you today? Well, living the dream, grinding. If that's how you answer, if that's how your life is set up, if that's the instructions you give to your brain, it's no wonder that you're struggling, because that's the movie that you're scripting to yourself. That's just playing over and over again. I'm fine. I'm getting by. If that's the kind of way you talk to yourself, well, you deserve the hole of unhappiness that you're living in. Now, compare that to how a badass world builder speaks, like Tom or my dad. You ask those guys, how are you? And you'll get an answer like, kicking ass and taking names. That's my friend Matt Fury. That's how he answers when somebody asks him, how are you, Matt? Kicking ass and taking names. He literally rocks those people back on their heels. Or, you know, you ask Tom how he is and he'll give you one of those Ric Flair, the wrestling legend, woos. How are you today, Tom? Woo! Right in your face. Like, I remember one time I pulled up beside Tom. We lived beside each other on the lake in Canada. And, you know, I was kind of groggy and sleepy. I was heading out for my morning walk, and I'm walking up, and I get in the vehicle after I did my walk, and I'm still kind of, you know, it's early in the morning, still dark out. And I pull up beside him, and he's heading out for his walk. So I pull up beside him in the SUV, and I roll down the window, and he's just heading out on his walk. And I just, you know, it's like 7 in the morning, it's still dark out. And I asked him, I said, Tom, how are you this morning? And I roll down the window, and he sticks his face right in the passenger side window, woo, in my face. And I'll never forget that. You want to talk about the ultimate pattern interrupt. Here's an entrepreneur in his 60s, living life on his own terms, heading out for his morning walk, and I ask him how things are going, and he gives me the Ric Flair woo. He literally parted my hair with that. And trust me, it woke me up the rest of the day. Those are the kind of people you need in your life. Givers, not takers. Energy givers, not takers. Get the vampires out of your life. Get the time vampires, get the energy vampires, get the non-believers, get the losers, get the toxic tomato cans out of your life, and fill your world with people like Tom Burns, givers, generous, driven, elite people. So just listening to that, don't let the old man in. Tom went on and explained, you know, that people that are always bitching and chewing about every ache and pain, bitching and chewing about government, who's in the White House, who's the Prime Minister of Canada, bitching and chewing about the economy, you know, in the swamp of social media, that those echo chambers, those anti-men anti-testosterone echo chambers, and then they wonder why, you know, they're struggling with their mental and physical health. And Tom makes it a point of associating with upbeat people and staying out of those toxic environments. But he doesn't want to ever be around, he said, complainers or whiners. Anybody who's a complainer, is a whiner, is an excuse maker. And he says he just gets sick and tired of listening to young people, relatively young people in their 30s and 40s, come in the store and bitch and chew about stuff that simply doesn't matter. Their perspective is literally the size of a pin. They have their health, they live in the greatest two countries in the world. They're surrounded by unlimited wealth, abundance, and opportunity. And what do? They come in and they bitch and they complain and they chew and they make excuses, and they just basically mail it in every single day. They mail it in every single day. Look at that sunrise. Every day here in Naples, life is a gift. Look at that. Doesn't really matter that my knee is sore today. Doesn't really matter that I woke up and my shoulder was aching. It should ache. I've got 30 years of athletics in my background. I've played 20 plus years of physical hockey. I played tackle football. I played 15 years on the hard courts in tennis. That's the old badass creed. I don't want to get to the grave when my tour of duty is over in a perfectly preserved body. I want to slide into the grave with a drink in hand saying, "Woo, what a ride." That is Tom Burns. So it reminded me of my dad and how he also speaks to himself very differently than 99% of other people. And I talked to my champion mastermind members about this. By the way, if you're interested in applying for our mastermind, go to Badass World Builders with an S, Badass World Builders with an S, and fill out the form and apply. That's for our Badass World Building Mastermind that Tom's in. And my dad just speaks very, very differently than 99% of other men. And I really notice it when I speak with him on the phone now. He's back in Canada. And good morning. And I notice it when my mom and dad were here visiting for 9 days. And I'd be out sitting at the pool and visiting with my dad and enjoying a cup of coffee. And how he talks to himself is the reason he's played that same movie for almost 90 years. One of my dad's favorite sayings to himself is, I'm the luckiest man on earth. My dad says that all the time. And he'll say, I'm the luckiest man on earth. I'm the luckiest man on earth. Now let's break that down for a second, as opposed to, bitching and chewing, this isn't working, being a dark cloud, being an energy vampire, sucking the life out of the whole room. That's what most people are like. I'm the luckiest man alive. And he'll make that comment whenever he's talking about family or business or money or Canada or freedom. I'm the luckiest man alive. And guess what? Who do you think we all agree is the luckiest man we've ever met? I'm talking about, it doesn't matter if it was a lottery ticket. I don't care if it's a 50-50 ticket at a baseball game. I don't care if it's winning a contest at a church picnic. My dad has won more stuff, had more what you would call good luck and good fortune, good morning, than any person that I've ever met in my life. And I know that anybody that knows my dad agrees. The man is a magnet for good fortune. You know, money flows towards him, good luck towards him. It's just insane. But here he is constantly telling himself that I'm the luckiest man alive. What do you think, Dad? I'm the luckiest man alive. He said that like 7 times in 9 days when he was here in South Florida. He's sitting out by the pool, he's enjoying a cup of coffee. I said, how are you this morning? He goes, I'm 89 years old. I'm sitting here in paradise with my family. I'm the luckiest man alive. Man, is that the way you talk to yourself? Or do you bitch and chew and complain and make excuses for not producing results? Another thing that Tom and my dad have in common, another saying my dad is, we were talking about this on the Champions Mastermind, is my dad always says, the best is yet to come. How many times do you hear that in a day? I bet you haven't heard that in weeks. You have somebody who says, Michael, the best is yet to come. I say that the odd time in a video. I'll say that the odd time on a training because I believe it. I don't say it enough, but my dad says that consistently to himself. I'm like, no matter what, no matter what's happening in the White House, the markets, the economy, my dad for 90 years has been saying, the best is yet to come. How many 89-year-olds do you know, okay, that say something to themselves like that? The best is yet to come. So once again, my parents are here for 9 days, and my dad and I talk about politics. We talk about what's happening in the world. We talk about money. We talk about marketing. We talk about family. We talk about sports. And there's my dad constantly, playing that movie in his mind. Well, son, the best is yet to come. He goes, 2023 is an amazing time to be alive. You've got trillions of dollars in wealth. You've got unlimited abundance. You've got unlimited opportunities because of the internet. And even he goes, as great as it is, the best is yet to come. The best is yet to come. So I'm sitting there the other day, and I'm like, well, my dad's 89. They're hanging on to their freedom by a thread because, they're 89 and they live in their own property, 30-acre property outside of town, but they're in their 90th year. So if there's any health issues, everything changes, either with my mom or with my dad. Son, the best is yet to come. It'll all work out in the end. That's another thing he says all the time when we were growing up. Well, it'll all work out for the best in the end. It'll all work out for the best in the end. Do you say that to yourself every day? Do you say, it'll all work out for the best in the end? Do you say to yourself constantly, the best is yet to come? Man, this is fantastic, but the best is yet to come. So I was thinking about, how can a man who's 89 years old have that mindset of the best is yet to come when most people are bitching and chewing when they're done high school? My life's over. I'm 21 years old. My back is, I'm falling apart. I'm 39 years old. Oh my God, I've had 2 kids. I feel like I'm 100. This kind of loser talk versus the best is yet to come. Oh, it'll all work out for the best in the end. That kind of incredible, incredible mentality. So the other day, about 2 weeks ago, my parents, my niece, had her first child, which is my parents' first, I repeat, first great grandchild. So even though my parents have, been married for 70 years and they've got lots of grandkids, this is their first great grandbaby. And that's what my dad says. I'm sitting there the other day, I said, have you been down to see the new baby, your new great grandson? My dad's like, yeah, amazing, and he's a winner. This kid's a winner. Trust me, he's a winner. What a good looking kid. And then he says, I told you, the best is yet to come. And he just proved it again, even at 89 years old, because he's not focused on his own aches and pains, because he's not focused on just his own life, because he's not just focused on my mom's challenges with dementia, because he's not focused on toxic politics or social media, or he doesn't own a cell phone, and he's not scrolling his life away through the news. This guy, he just has that Tom Burns mentality of, well, the best is yet to come. And then 2 weeks later, his great grandson is born. And he's like, told you, the best is yet to come. I wouldn't be surprised if he bought lottery tickets today that he's won the Powerball. I mean, it's not like he needs it, but I wouldn't be surprised if the guy bought lottery tickets. He should buy lottery tickets because the guy would win the 4 billion Powerball. Like, it's insane. I'm the luckiest man alive. I'm the luckiest man alive. Something my dad said to me when he was here in Naples, it just about floored me, and I had to think about it when I was journaling. And I never heard him say it before, but it all goes back to this mentality of Tom Burns, don't let the old man in. Don't let the old man in. Like, the way you dress matters, the way you talk to yourself matters, your personal grooming. My dad gets a haircut every 2 weeks. You see older people and they're not groomed and they're not sharp and they're not well dressed and they have clothes that don't fit. And my dad has none of that. He's got the haircut every 2 weeks. He's got the neck trim. He's got everything is sharp. And he's got the latest running shoes for walking, and he's got good fashion, and he's got clothes that fit him, and he's got suits and ties and shirts that are tailored, and it's just all the difference in the world. It's all the difference in the world. He's constantly reading books. Like, he's got a stack of books that's like 5 feet high beside him, because everybody gives him books in his retirement, right? He retired at 85. He's 89. He's been reading stacks and stacks of biographies and autobiographies for the last 4 years. Like, you have no idea. Stacks of books, and then he gives them away. He gives every book away. He reads the Obama book, gives it away. He reads the Trump book, gives it away. He reads the Winston Churchill book, gives it away. Reads the Ronald Reagan book, gives it away. Reads the Patton book, gives it away. Reads the Michael Jordan book, gives it away. Reads, Warren Buffett book, gives it away. But voracious reader, every day growing his mind. And my dad walks with his neighbor 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, every day except on Saturday and Sunday. And I don't know why they don't, but they don't. And him and his neighbor, who's a retired minister, a retired pastor, and they walk for 45 minutes every morning. They walk for, halfway out, halfway back. Winter, snowstorms, ice rain, bugs, heat, humidity, feeling good, not feeling good. And my dad's 89 and the other guy's 84, and they're out there walking every day. And it's just amazing because, You got people in their 30s and 40s and 50s bitching and chewing about the weather, about the winter, about their oh, my back hurts, I can't walk, Michael. Good morning. My knees hurt. Well, no kidding, your knees hurt. You're 50 fucking pounds overweight. You're an elephant. You're an elephant. You know, well, you know, I hurt my back and my ankles are sore. Just everything under the sun. Long on style, short on substance. And here's these two badasses out in the country walking it's not even a paved road. They go on this back road and they walk for 45 minutes in the snow, in the heat, in the mosquitoes, and they never miss a day. They barely ever miss a day. 5 days a week. Do you walk 5 days a week? Do you walk 5 days a week? Are you going to be walking 5 days a week when you're 90? And, you know, like my dad talks about his mental health and his physical health and how great he feels. He goes, I feel like $1 million. That's another thing he says. You know, he goes, every time I talk to him, I'm like, how are you doing, Pop? I feel like $1 million. I feel like $1 million. That's a lot better than saying I feel fucking fine. Well, you know, nobody would listen. That kind of horse shit. I've never, ever heard that kind of vocabulary ever or talk from, good morning, from my father. Ever. And it's contagious, right? It's contagious also to everybody else because, you know, it's contagious because he's a good news merchant. He's always talking about good news. He's always talking about opportunity. He's always talking about all the blessings in his life. He's always talking about good news. My dad is a good news merchant. Tom Burns is a good news merchant. He's always talking about the next marketing idea, the next promotion, the next advertisement. He's always talking about his latest piece of jewelry. He's talking about Rolex watches. He's talking about buying another boat. He's talking about his nieces, his nephews, his daughter, his son-in-law. He's talking about the future. These men are like passionate and obsessed with their lives. They can't wait. They're planning the next 10, 20, 30 years. It's insane. Like, they don't, age is just a number. But I truly believe in what Tom said, don't let the old man in. Don't let the old man into your life. Don't let him in mentally. Don't let him in physically. Don't let him in emotionally. And don't let him in spiritually. Those 4 areas. Don't let him in any of those areas. And you need to deputize people in your world, and you need to hang around people that are young and young at heart. Young mentally, young physically, young emotionally, young spiritually. The last thing you ever want to tie your boat to is somebody who's a whiner and a complainer. You know, an energy vampire. Oh, my back's sore and I didn't sleep well. Go fuck off. You know what? Life is a gift. Beat it. Beat it. And you just can't have those people in your life. Cut the cord, cut the rope, swift sword them out of your world. They'll take everything you have. They'll take all your energy. They'll take all your dreams. They'll take all your goals. They'll take all your ambition. They'll take it all. They'll piss on all of it. And you'll have nobody to blame but yourself. Start talking to yourself like a winner, like a champion. Start hanging around other champions and winners. If you're having a problem walking every day, do what my dad did. My dad literally picks this gentleman up, the retired minister, every day. My dad's the leader, right? And he picks him up and they go for a walk for 45 minutes. I remember years ago he said, well, Stan, you know, doesn't always want to go. He goes, so I go pick him up. I'm going to be in your driveway tomorrow at 7:30. Be there. That's the kind of guy my dad is. So if you need help with your consistency, what about inviting a positive, young-minded person to walk with you each day? And just by talking to those people, like I've walked a few times in my life with Tom, and I've walked many times with my dad on the beach when we've been in different places in the country. And not only the walking, but just talking to them about their dreams, talking to them about their next conquest, their next chapter in their life is so inspirational. it's so contagious, because when you're done your walk, you're like, wow, that's a big dreamer. That's somebody who loves their life. That's a person who's squeezing every last drop out of their tour of duty. That's somebody who believes they have a moral obligation to serve people in their life. And man, it's just, you know, that saying gives me goosebumps. Don't let the old man in. That is so, good morning. That is such a game changer. And wherever the old man is in your life, in your home, in your environment, whatever it is, the way you dress, the way you talk, the way you think, what you read, what you don't read, how you invest your time, what kind of foods are you eating? Are you drinking water? Are you still dating your queen? That's another one too. Like my mom and dad, they've been married for 70 years. They're best friends. They're best friends. They go together everywhere. They go to the hockey rink. They go to Tim Hortons. They go to dinner. Everywhere they go together. And it's just like, that's like staying young, not letting the old man in, not letting the old man in, not letting the old man in, instead of most people who just stop growing. There's a great saying Tony Robbins said one time, and I wrote it down and it's always stuck with me. People don't grow old. They stop growing and they become old. And I think that's exactly Tom Burns' secret. I think that's Frank McLean's secret. People don't grow old. People stop growing and they become old. Man, oh man, keep the old man out. Slam that fucking door. Any area of your life that says age or says old or says, you know, stagnant or says a rut. What is it Robbins used to say? He says a rut. He says a rut. It's the only difference between a rut and a grave is a few feet. These men don't have ruts. They're always chasing the next championship. They're never tired. I was sharing this with my wife Krista last night. I was reading an article the other day that said, if you're fatigued, if you're tired, if you're bored, it's because you're not taking on something new. If you want to energize your life and your business, do something completely new. Do something new like marketing something new, write a newsletter, send an email, design a sales page, shoot a video. And that automatically brings you massive life force. It gets you out of your rut, it gets you out of your slump, and it gives you energy, and you're no longer tired or fatigued. You're no longer down in the mouth because you're doing something new and exciting. And I see that with Tom and my dad. They always have something new and exciting. They have like always something new and exciting they're doing. Did you hear? Did you hear? I got the Christmas party coming up. This band's coming in and these guys are incredible and we're gonna raise all kinds of money for the food bank. Or my dad, just always the next thing, you know? Oh, did you hear about this? Oh my God, amazing. What we're gonna do and what we should do here. And it's just, they're never tired. They're never fatigued. They're never in a rut because they're always growing. They're always progressing. They're always progressing. What do I say? The two secrets to happiness. You can't be happy in this world unless you're doing two things. Number one, growing. You have to be growing every day. Constant and never-ending improvement. Secondly, you have to be contributing. You have to be serving other people in some way. If you're not giving, you won't be happy. There's no chance. No service, no significance. No significance, no legacy. So if you're growing and you're giving, you're going to be an incredibly happy and passionate person. And look at the two examples I just gave you this morning. Tom Burns and my father. Always growing, always contributing and helping other people. And both of them incredibly happy men, peace of mind, purposeful, grateful. They're givers, they're builders, they're contenders, they're champions, and both of these men are badass kings in their own homes. Both of them are badass kings in their own homes and their worlds. and both of them have applause at home. Both of them are heroes in their own home because of how much they sacrifice, how much they give, how many people they serve, and just that incredible life force that they bring with them. People don't grow old. They stop growing and they become old. That's a writer downer. Don't let the old man in. Don't let the old man in. Don't let the old man in. You ever hear yourself talking like an old person? You ever see yourself behaving like an old person? You ever see yourself hanging around other people who are mentally and physically old? Whiners, complainers, excuse makers. Get all that toxicity out of your world. Run from it. Get around young-minded, physically fit, passionate people that want to talk about blessings and opportunity and abundance and their next goal, their next challenge. Get around people that are growing and contributing. Get around people that are growing and contributing. Speaking about getting around people that are growing and contributing, if you want to be part of my mastermind, apply at badassworldbuilder.com. Just like you'll get around guys like Tom Burns, you'll also get a hot seat like Tom just experienced. It's every 2 weeks for a couple of hours. It's an absolute game changer. Absolute game changer. You need to apply and be approved into the mastermind. You need to go to badassworldbuilders.com. I check out your application, and after a few days, I get back to you and say yay or nay. 2/3 of guys aren't a good fit, but when you have guys like Tom Burns, it's just like yes, and then we begin. It's 12 months, every second Wednesday. There's homework, it's hard coaching, there's accountability. You have to do a hot seat once a year, and you're gonna meet an awful lot of other elite, driven, and generous men. It's your opportunity to get around other champions. It's your opportunity to get around other lions. It's your opportunity to get around other badasses. And we need that more than ever, to get around other elite men. It's contagious. It's contagious. Everything I just talked about this morning is about association and environment. It's about how you talk to yourself. It's about how you think. It's how you behave, how you see yourself. But the majority is, who are you spending your time with? What books are you reading? Who are you talking to? What are your daily behaviors? Are you letting the old man in? One last thing my dad always says, a man's prime is 55. I was told that growing up. When I was 26, he's like, oh, you're a long way from your prime, boy. 35, fuck, you're a long way from your prime. Ah, I'm 40 years old. Long way from your prime. And that kept me like pushing and progressing. And I'm like, really? I'm like, lordy, lordy, I'm 40. He's like, 15 years from your prime, Skippy. And it keeps me pushing. I haven't hit my prime yet. And what he means by that, at age 55, my dad says that that's where a man's world comes together. His ultimate powers come together. He's Batman when he's 55. He's a king when he's 55. He's superhero. You're a superhero when you're 55, maybe a little bit older. That's when you have your financial act together. That's when you should be in the best physical shape of your life. You're not as strong, or you don't have the endurance at 25, but you should be in the best physical shape of your life. You're in the best mental shape of your life, that's for sure. When we're in our 30s and 40s, we're lost mentally. You're in the best emotional health of your life. In other words, you're not suffering from manufactured mental illness. You've got your superpowers going mentally. Spiritually, you've reconnected with your creator or the universe, whatever your calling is. And basically you're contributing, you're serving other people. So you've got the financial, you got the emotional, you got the mental, you got the spiritual, you got the family, the relationships, you got it all together at age 55 plus. That's when a man is a superhero. That's when a man's powers come together. And I think that that is a badass mindset. A badass mindset. Those whiners and complainers and little bitches that come in Tom's store and talk about their sore knee or talk about how tired they were scrolling on their phone to 4 in the morning. Those little bitches, they don't have a clue that life is a gift, and our superpowers start at 55. Our superpowers start at 55. I think back to when I was 30 and 40 and I thought I knew everything, and now I realize that I knew jack shit. And now, as I'm 50, I'm like, wow, it's all starting to come together. I do feel like Batman. I do feel like I'm creating my own walled garden. I do feel like I'm creating my own world. I do feel like superpowers. I feel like my superpowers are all coming together, and they are. So don't let the old man in. Life is a gift. Your superpowers kick in at age 55. Remember that. And then after that, don't ever let the old man in. Men don't grow old. They stop growing and become old. That's a writer downer. That's it. Badassworldbuilders.com. Badassworldbuilders.com. If I don't have your fax number, please send it to Leanne below. Her email is below. I need your fax number and your physical mailing address. Fax number and physical mailing address, Leanne at badassmillionaire.com. That's it. 2 words that change my life, 2 words that'll change your life. Be relentless.